The town of Salem, already tainted by its infamous witch trials, had a secret that went untold for centuries. One cold, moonless night, a young woman named Abigail wandered through the woods, fleeing from accusations of witchcraft. She knew the forest like the back of her hand, but that night, the air felt wrong, heavy. Every step she took seemed to echo louder than it should. As she ventured deeper into the woods, whispers began to surround her, though no one was there. She spun around, heart racing, but the trees stood tall and silent. The shadows, however, seemed to shift, like they were watching. Abigail stumbled upon a clearing where an old oak tree stood, gnarled and twisted. Tied to its base was a weathered rope, as if from an old hanging. Suddenly, she felt a presence behind her. Slowly turning, she saw it, a figure, cloaked in darkness, with hollow, glowing eyes staring right through her. It said nothing, but the air grew colder. Abigail tried to scream, but no sound escaped her lips. Years later, locals spoke of Abigail's disappearance. Some said she had fled town. Others whispered of a shadowy figure that still roamed the woods, watching from the darkness. To this day, hikers in those woods swear they can feel unseen eyes on them. And at night, the whispers begin again. In the depths of the Great Depression, jobs were scarce, and hope was even scarcer. But in St. Louis, rumors spread of a forgotten train that traveled only at night. It was said that anyone who boarded the Midnight Express would never return. People called it the Ghost Line. In 1932, Robert, a down-on-his-luck factory worker, decided to test the rumor. He had nothing left to lose. One fateful night, as the city streets were drenched in rain, Robert spotted the train, an old, rusty locomotive with no markings, silently rolling into the station. No passengers boarded or disembarked. Without thinking twice, Robert stepped inside. The doors shut with a deafening clang, and the train lurched forward. Inside, the air was thick with an oppressive silence. The carriage was empty, save for a few old dust-covered seats and flickering lights. As Robert made his way down the aisle, he noticed something odd, a small faded picture nailed to the wall. It was of a family, his family. Robert's heart raced. How could this be? He turned around to exit, but the doors wouldn't budge. The train picked up speed, and the windows blurred into nothingness. The lights flickered and died, plunging him into total darkness. Then, out of nowhere, came the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate. Robert's breath hitched as he felt a cold hand on his shoulder. No one knows what happened to Robert after that night. The train vanished from the station, never to be seen again. But every few years, locals say they hear the faint sound of a train whistle at midnight, even though the tracks have long since been abandoned. In the shadow of Devil's Tower, a towering rock formation in Wyoming, sat a small, dilapidated house. No one lived there for years, but it was said to be cursed. Local legend claimed that those who stayed the night would never make it to dawn. Naturally, it attracted curious souls, thrill seekers, and ghost hunters. In 1994, a group of college friends decided to spend a weekend there. Armed with cameras and flashlights, they joked about the legend, confident they'd debunk it. The house was just as they expected. Creaky floorboards, peeling wallpaper, and a damp chill in the air. But as night fell, things began to change. At first, it was small. A door slammed on its own, followed by footsteps in the attic. One by one, the friends laughed it off, blaming the wind or their own paranoia. But by midnight, the laughter faded. One of the friends, Tom, noticed something odd in the mirror, a reflection that wasn't his own. The figure in the mirror, a gaunt, pale woman with hollow eyes, was standing directly behind him. Tom screamed, but when he turned, no one was there. The group tried to leave, but the doors wouldn't open and the windows wouldn't break. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the halls, a whisper, calling each of their names, one by one. By dawn, the house was silent again. No one knows what happened to the group. Their cars were found outside, but they were never seen again. To this day, locals avoid Devil's Tower Road, and some say that if you listen closely at night, you can still hear the whispers of those who vanished.